Hey guys, I'm Aditya Thakur and welcome to another video in our Python playlist. In this video, we'll get started with collections in Python. So we'll first look at list and how can you perform operations on this list, how can you define them. So let's get started with the video. Before we go into it, a quick introduction to Newton School. It is a platform which prepares you for your career in tech. There are courses designed for freshers, working professional, and also for women with no tech background. Newton School first trains you for 6 months and helps you become an amazing full stack developer. They have a network of 300 plus great companies. So once the training is done, they ensure that you are also placed in the best company. And the best part is it has a pay after placement program, so you do not have to pay Newton School anything until or unless you are placed with a minimum 5 lakh CTC. So they have this initiative called the Newton School Launchpad, which is basically to help students learn coding from scratch for free. And this video would also be part of the Launchpad section on the Newton School. And without any further delay, let's get started with collections in Python. So collections are sort of array. We have the same variable name in which we can store different data, and not different as in, but we can store like with the same variable name we can store multiple data. And there are 4 collection data types in Python programming. The first is list. It is a collection which is ordered and changeable, and it allows duplicate members. Then there is tuples, set, and dictionary. We'll come back to all of these 3 in as we proceed with these videos. In this particular video, we'll take up list, but there are a few differences that I will highlight again. Like you can see, tuple is also ordered and unchangeable, set is unordered and unindexed, whereas dictionary is ordered and changeable. No duplicate members. Set doesn't allow duplicate members, whereas list and tuple both allow duplicate members. So we'll come back to these differences, but for now let's get started with what are lists in Python. So lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. So we have the same variable name, but we can store multiple items in it. The list items are ordered, they are changeable, and they allow duplicate values. Ordered as in we can when you will have items added to the list, they'll be in a particular order, and when you add something else, it will be added to the last. There are a few functions that can change the order, but generally they are ordered in the particular order you add items to the list. So it would remain the same unless you do some method, that is like unless you try to sort it. So, and then they are changeable, that is you can change these lists, you can remove some items, add few new items, and they also allow duplicate values, so there could be duplicates inside this list. Then list items are indexed, as we have seen in a few previous video as well when we were working with strings. These list items have indexes that you can access each element. 0, 1, you can pass the value and access them. So instead of just taking it up in theory, let's take it to code. So I'll go over to newtonschool.co, and if you do not have an account, you can sign up, or since I already have an account, I'll just log in. And here on the profile, you'll have the playground section. We'll go over to the playground and go down to algorithm playground. You can open an existing one, or you can quickly create a new one, give it a title and a description. I'll do one quickly. So you'll have this code section, the custom input and the output. Quickly select the compiler that we would be working with. I would be using Python 3, and let's write some code. So what we have here is basically you can define a list and use square brackets to define a list. So let us say like there are 4 students. All right. So we have a list here. I can quickly type in print and pass my list and get it printed to console. So this is basically a list. We have names. This could be a list called names. or since I'm only using my list, so I can just names and print this, right? So it is a list which has different data items. There are 4 data items in it, and it has all the names of the students. So that is basically the idea. We have the same, almost the same variable name. We are using one variable name names and storing multiple items in it. So that is how a list works. Now it is ordered, as in I put Aditya first, Aman, Aryan, so they were printed out in the same order. And it also allows duplicate value, like there could be more than one person named Aditya. So now if I run it, you'll see like it allows duplicate values. And other than this, we have lists, items are ordered, indexed. So right, we have seen this previously as well. If I'll type here 0 here, so it should print out only Aditya to console. These are indexed, that is Aditya has the index 0, Aman has 1, Aryan has 2, and Ayush has 3. So you can access any of the elements you want. If I'll type here 1, it should print out Aman to console. So you can access their different items in the list using the index. All right, so while we are talking about indexes, we'll also look at negative indexes. So this is about if you wanted to access the last element. So like for the first element we write 0. Now what if you want to start from the end? So what you will do is you will write -1, because 0 is already taken, so it will be -1. And what you'll see is you'll see Ayush printed to console, which was the last item in our list. This is called negative indexing. Similarly, you can use -2 to print out Rn to console, right? So we have Rn here. Okay, so there is negative indexing. Then there is the range of indexes that you can use if you want to print out certain range. This is similar to what we had for strings, because strings are also a type of array which store different characters. So here what I'll do is I can type in a range, let's say 1 to 4. So you'll notice like it would print out all the 3 names. Why? Because Aditya has 0. So it will start from Aman, which is at index 1, and then it will print out the second and the third. Now at 4th index, for the number that we supply here, it prints out 1 less than this. So the meaning of this statement is to print out the first element, the second and the third, and exclude the 4th. Whatever number we give, it excludes the last one, right? So that is how it works. So if you wanted to print out only Aman and Aryan, you would have written here 3, because it would print 1 less than the number that you have given in. I hope that makes sense. And you'll have the 2 names, Aman and Aryan, printed to console, right? So you can do this. We also have the, if you do not want to specify a number, so you can just leave it blank. So this would mean ki starting se leke print it to the third element. So print elements starting from the first one to the third one. So let us try this, and you'll have Aditya, Aman and Aryan printed to console. Similarly, you can supply the first one but leave the second blank. So this means that it would print out all the elements till the last element. So you have Aman, Ayush and Aryan printed to console. Yeah, that's about it. So this is like leaving the blank, and you can similarly do this for negative indexes like -2, -1. And then we also can use other keywords, as in there were in and not in keywords that we had seen. And you can also check out if a particular element is there in the list. So indexing we have done. We have also looked at the negative indexes and how you can print a certain range. So to determine like how many items are there, you can use the length function on this particular list. So what you can do is you can type in length and pass the list to it, right? So it should print out the length, which is 4. Counting of the length starts from 1. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. But if you want to talk about storage, so it starts from 0. So I had also explained this concept using Paint in one of the earlier videos. But what you need to remember is whenever you are counting the length, right, so it should start with 1. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. But if you were talking about storage as in print the 0th element, so in that case, like storage starts from 0, 1, 2 and 3. So I hope that makes sense, right? So you can use the length function to print out the length of the list that you are working with. And you can perform multiple operations on the length, as in if you want to print out the half of the list. So what you can do is get this length and divide it by 2 and print that many elements, right? So that is why you need to know certain methods. Then a list can contain different data types. Let's look at this right now. Let us try printing the type of my list. So it prints out like the type is of list directly, but what you can do is inside this list you can have elements of different data types. So instead of aman, let us say if there was an integer, there was like a float value, so still it shouldn't show any error because list can have multiple data types in them. So you are getting the list printed as such without any error, and the type of this would remain the same. That way it would continue to be of type list, so you can have multiple data types in it with ease. So we can also use the list constructor to define a list. In this case, what we are doing is we are taking a variable name and giving it a list inside of square brackets. But what you can do is you can type in my list, a variable name, and use the list constructor to define a list. So how this works is I'll type in list and pass it some elements as in names. Okay, so I can do like classes, roll numbers, right, and print out this list. So let's try running it. So yeah, we can use this list constructor to create a list and pass the different values to it, so it will just make it into a list. So that is about it. And then we can also change certain values inside this list, as in we were talking about accessing different elements. So we haven't done like the if and else statements right now, but these are basically used to check certain conditions. What we can do is I forgot to show you the in keyword as in names. Let us try running it once. Okay, so you can use these keywords as we had discussed in not in to check if a particular value is there inside your list or not. And what you can do is it is printing out true. So you can also replace using the indexes that we talked about certain elements in the list. So let us say like I want to change the 0th element, which is basically my name, and replace it with my last name, let us say. So now I have defined my list here. In my second line I am changing the 0th element, replacing it with something else. Let us now try printing the list. Okay, names and print names. Okay, let's try running it once. So it should first print out the original list and then the one with the changes, right? So let us see what is printed out to console. You'll notice like it replaces my first name with my last name. So that is how you can change the different item values. You can also change a range of item values, like we are only changing one element here, but you can also change the range, as in you can go 2 and replace it with, like, if I wanted to change it with some other numbers, like let us say 50, right? So I want to change a range. Blank means I'm starting from the starting and going up till 1 less than the last number. So it means I'm going up till 1, and I want to replace it with my last name and also change the number that we have here. So let us try running it, and you'll notice like I can also change a range of values in my list. We saw how to use the index to replace a certain value in the list, but there is this also another method called insert, which we can use when we want to insert a item in the list. So instead of replacing the item, instead of replacing a particular index, what we want to do is we want to insert a new item, shift the other items forward. So we can use the insert method. So how this works is I'll type in name.insert, and I need to pass in two values. The first is the index that I want to insert it in, and the second is the value, right? So I'll just run it. What you'll notice is at the second index, that is after, like, we have Aditya 1, 2.5 and Ayush. This was our original list, but I wanted to insert Thakur at the second index, so I passed it, and now we have the new list with the Thakur here, and the other elements are shifted forward. So this is how insert method works, and you can insert a new item in the list. We can also use the append. Let us try out, instead of using append, let us use append keyword here, and append only takes in one value, which is the one that you want to append. And when you will use the append keyword, what it does is it appends the value that you are passing to it to the end of the list. So insert was used when we wanted to insert it in a certain place, but append is used when we want to just add it to the list, so at the end, right? So we also have the extend keyword, which basically appends element from another list to the current list that we are working with. So we can have two lists and we can just pass these values. So let us say like there were two lists. So there are two lists, like first name, last name, and I can print these out individually. And what I can do is I can use the extend keyword and pass my new list here. Okay, so there are two lists. The first is the names, which has the names in it. The last names has the last name in it, like Thakur and Sharma. We can print out these two lists to the console, and then what we can do is we'll type in our name of our first list and use the extend keyword to add the elements of the second list to it, and then we can print out names again. Let's try running this once. All right, so what you'll notice is like this was our first list, this was our second list. The first list got the second list was added to the first list, and if I'll print out the second list, so it would remain the same without any changes to that, right? So we have the second list as it is, but the first list, in the first list we added the elements of the second list. So this is about it. And you can also use the extend keyword to add like other collections to it, and yeah, that is all we'll cover in this video. We also want to do like how to remove certain items from the list, how to loop through them, and how to sort them, copy, and some other methods that we'll take up in the next video. But for this video, what I wanted to cover is what lists are basically, how they are indexed, as in how we can use the indexes to access certain elements, print out to console, replace certain elements. Then we took up how to insert a particular value in the list at a given index, how to also find the length of our list, right? So we can, print only half elements from it or perform other such operations. So we also saw how to use the constructor and get the type, and also how to use the extend keyword. So that is about it for this video. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, do not forget to subscribe the channel to stay updated with the videos as they come out. And in the next one, we'll take up the different methods, and we'll also see how to access certain items, remove, not access, but how to remove certain items and copy the different elements of the list. So thank you so much for watching.